One of the toughest things, I think, from a PR standpoint is the pitch, especially with unknown commodities that seemingly have no interest. How do you approach that situation?
Mhm. Yeah, that was a great thing for me to bring from my journalism background into the communication space is just what is newsworthy. I think when you go to a company and people are very passionate about what they're doing and what their product is, they feel like anything they're doing is newsworthy. But when you come from my perspective as a reporter, I would get maybe at least 100 pitches in my inbox a day. And so, it's a bunch of companies thinking what they're doing is newsworthy, but clearly, like, there's just not enough time in the day to give all of those companies coverage. So I think coming at it from the lens of, what are things related to your product or event or something that has a broader impact on the general community at large, can be a great way to start to hone in on how you could craft your pitch. One thing I'm a huge fan of is data. And, I feel like you hear a lot of people in the communication space talking about that at this point, but what data do you have access to within your company that you could put together a really interesting report on that you could share out to journalists? That was always an easy win for me. Whenever I got those reports, for example, I think a lot of like Zillow and some of the bigger companies do a great job of putting out reports on like the average median rent in their area. And, people are moving more to these cities. Journalists just gobble that stuff up. And so if you can find interesting data within what you're collecting as a company and then pitch that out to journalists, I think you'll have a lot of success.
How did you determine the right go-to market approach regarding, what is national, what might be more product, what might be culture, thought leadership? Break down, if you would, some of the pieces of that process or that mindset in developing that strategy.
Mm-hmm. I think, we all love the idea of landing our companies in top tier publications. But, that takes a lot of work and you have to have the absolute perfect pitch at the right time in order to land that. Also, obviously, developing relationships with journalists is huge, but it can be more challenging in these top tier publications. And so what we found instead is that we have a lot of success when we are targeting more niche publications where we know that our audience lives.
Right.
An example of this is a product that we had launched called Fluid Renew, and we had a great rapport going with a fleet publication. And so we were able to just directly pitch them on this product. We got placement in their newspaper. Freight Waves is the publication, and it ended up being a great success for us. We got great coverage, a lot of eyes on that story, and it was more focused on our target audience. And so I think it's always, if you feel like you have a pitch that's worthy of national attention, you should for sure go for it, but don't feel like you're losing if you end up getting placement in more of a niche publication, because that could end up being better for your business.